Hi, this is Michelle True with the Geography of Siena's Folklore for Amy Maxwell's English 2212.
Stampa più su. Fermati in corsa. Fermati in corsa.
But first things first. This is Siena. It sits on 3 hills in the middle of Tuscany and is divided into 17 neighborhoods called Contrade, which is plural for Contrada. Siena dates back to the time of the Etruscans, but it wasn't organized into a republic until about 1115, and at that time there were 59 different neighborhoods. So what makes Siena's folklore very awesome? The identity that they have has survived and become strengthened through military defeat, jealousies, political coup, plagues, and the erosion of time. In the process of these events, they have found an identity through their customs, events, religious folklore, and materials that they use to express themselves, this very strong identity to each other and to the world. But back to the Contrada. These flags are some of those material customs for you to look at. The key to Siena's abundant folklore lies in the way Sienese identify with their neighborhoods or their Contrada. Each one has a physical boundary inside the Sienese walls. Every Contrada has an animal or inanimate object for a mascot, and each has a name for the group. I think it's very interesting that Siena is comprised of 17 different folk groups under the umbrella of the Sienese folk group. This is it's a chart. It's not a small chart, but the items are small. So we're going to pull out some of the information for you. And we're going to look at the Onda as an example. So here's their mascot. In medieval times, all of the different Contrada were required to provide military service. The Onda provided the protection of the Tyrrhenian sea border, which is now in an area called Maremma. That's how they got their name. Onda means wave in Italian. And I don't know if that's a wave or an angry fish, but the members of the Contrada called themselves Ondaioli. It was also an area where most of the carpenters lived and was the center of the Carpenters Guild, as were all the Contrade centers of a professional guild. You are a Contrada member from first breath when you're born Sienese. The first big introduction happens when they're born, and a Contrada member comes dressed in full medieval regalia with a flag that's given to the child as their first Contrada flag. Later, the toddler will be baptized into the Contrada, followed by a huge party, probably bigger than their Catholic baptism. And children are taught the different Contrada names and colors through games or through songs. One of these games is Barbary, and I love this game. It's 17 small balls painted in the different colors of the Contrada flags, and these run a course, 3 laps. The winner is the first ball to cross the finish line, and the kids love it. I love it. I went and bought a set, and we had so much fun playing with these. Even the name came from a polio reference, and the barbers of North Africa provided the horses to the Sienese at the earliest days of the races. And you're a Contrada member from the first breath until the last breath. In a really sad series of events, one of my informants, her mother passed away, and I was able to attend the funeral in a beautiful medieval church. Each Contrada has their own church and their own priest. This church was decorated with about 12 or 15 of these amazing, beautiful, colorful flags hanging from the medieval stone walls. All the flowers were in white. It was breathtaking. And the priest, when he addressed the crowd, the first thing that he said was what a devoted wife she was, what a loving mother, and what a dedicated member of the Contrada this Pantarini had been. So why the palio, the horse race? It all boils down to this. The Sienese were defeated in a battle with the Florentine Medicis in 1556. This left the men who were primed and trained for military warfare with a gaping hole in their identity. So the Sienese men started going to buffalo races and to boxing matches, one of which was historically reputed, the boxing match, as having involved all of the men in Siena against a different city, and I guess it was quite the interesting event. The Palio. The Palio combines all of those competitive activities, and it fills a need for the Sienese men, that need to have their winning identity back. And the Contrada are so proud of who they are. They really think that they're the ultimate neighborhood in Siena. The Palio gives them a way to express their pride and hopefully be the winner. Everything that is done by a person born in Siena revolves around the identity as a Contrada member and being a winner. That's where the Palio comes into play. It used to be a straight race from one point to another, but to make some very rich politicians happy, they decided to hold the race inside the piazza dedicated to those same rich people. Also, the religious folklore legend comes in because the Virgin Mary is the protectress of Siena. In 1260, they made very strong religious pleas to her to protect them in a battle, and she did. So not only is the city under her protection, but the Palio is dedicated to her. The geography of Sienese folklore is essentially the culmination of citizens who define themselves and their identity by the neighborhoods they're born in. This is their second family, their Contrada. The Contrada fills the needs of the men of Siena to express their militant and aggressive sides through precision, planning, and competition. And the result is a beautiful heritage in an ancient city. They have tradition, but they also have the informal nature that is malleable to the adaptation of new generations, which just strengthens the pride as it goes on year after year in an identity that just cannot be shaken. And the result is this. Thank you. I hope you appreciated this peek into the folklore of Siena.